Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing. I hope you're doing well. This is episode 52 of the Snowflake's Viewpoint on the 29th of April 2024 at 8 p.m. UK time, just for reference for those where we normally cover the latest news going on inside the UK. I hope you all have had a very nice weekend. To all those, we are dual streaming both here live on YouTube and on twitch.tv/REGANELITE1 and youtube.com/REGANELITE for those who are watching on Twitch, just for reference there. The gang is here, just so you guys are aware. Pingu, Ollie, Cash Dummy, we've now called him Cash Dummy, who's hiding behind Pingu, and the orb and the love lamp is all scoring. And also a very special surprise for you guys, for the members in the chat. So I've got a couple of things, just little things before we go into the main story that we're going to be discussing today. Your live YouTube chat poll today is: was it right for Humza Yousaf to step down as Scotland's First Minister? Yes, no, or I don't know. So far, we have 12 people cast their votes. 42% yes, 17% say no, 42% is not sure. It's a difficult decision, especially if you don't know the full context of it, and we will come into it shortly. Just one other thing before I come to you guys in the chat, I want to say today I have been spending some time creating some emojis for you guys, so you will see there is a brand new set of members emojis because we reached over 100 YouTube members, which is a fantastic achievement. I want to say thank you to everyone who has done that. There is a bunch of new emojis in the chat, so feel free to have a play about with all of them, guys. There'll be many more to come down the road. If we get another, I think it said another 14 members, I'll be able to unlock even more emojis, and I've got many more ideas to come for you guys. So yes, 91 Lee's there has just showed off all the new emojis there in the chat, so feel free to check them out and just use them just for fun. I need to do a funny laughy one as well. So let me just let's see who we got in the chat today. Andrew Luke is here. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Jao is here as well. Good to see you too. Hope you're doing well. Moderator, of course. Mad Monk is also here as well. Good to see you, buddy. 2 moderators for the price of 1. Couldn't ask for more. Satu is here. Good to see you. I'm finally here. I'm sick since April 20th, and now I'm feeling better. It's just my tongue white and better. Well, I hope you're feeling good to hear that you're feeling better, Satu. Look after yourself, yeah? Wolfpet is here as well. Good to see you, Wolfpet. Hope you're doing well. Dave McGuinness is here. Good to see you, David. Hope you're doing well. Very fascinating to hear you guys' thoughts, obviously, on today's subject, obviously, which is what we have to talk about as well today. Anyone else in the chat? Let me just have a quick look. Ruth is here as well. Good to see you, Ruth. Hope you're doing well. Jeannie Bottle is here as well. Good to see you, Jeannie Bottle. Hope you're doing well. Stig McMorrin is here as well. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Number 3 is here. Good to see you, buddy. Number 3, if you get a chance, can you please check your Twitter DMs? There's something I need you to do on Twitter for me as soon as possible, please. Be much appreciated. Anyone else? Doesn't. I think that's everyone we've got here in the live chat. Obviously, there's more numbers there, but that's totally fine. But yeah, do check out and play about our members with the new emojis there. More will come down the road. Right, so let's get started, guys. Obviously, this is the big story. So actually, I was listening to I was actually listening to Stephen Flynn speaking with Andrew Marr on LBC about it, obviously, as well. And I was listening to James O'Brien, and I've listened, obviously, to the Davies. And obviously, the main story of today is, of course, Humza Yousaf has resigned as Scotland's First Minister. First Minister will remain in place until his successor is announced, following the days of the turmoil within the Scottish government. I'm just going to play a little bit. So for those, I have watched the full speech, and I thought it was a very nice speech from him. I'm just going to play a bit of it for you guys, just so for those who haven't heard it heard some of it. So this is a part of it here from Sky News.
While a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power. Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government, and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible.
Now, the first thing that I want to add is that this is where people will jump on the bandwagon of saying, oh, this is just like the Conservatives holding the public to ransom or something along those lines, sort of thing. And no, you can't make that. You can't make that comparison, and it really isn't a fair comparison. And because I generally don't think it's a fair comparison, considering, you know, we don't have a situation of a minister, in my opinion, leaving in disgrace, not a scandal, or in my opinion, a general public that is angry with them, or the political party angry with them. This is a very, very different context. So to try and categorize it in any way, shape, or form like that, I don't think is in any way fair whatsoever. I have to stress as well, and as an Englishman, I am speaking from an outside perspective as well. So I think it's very important for people to understand that. But let's listen to the rest of it.
In order to ensure a smooth and orderly transition, it is my intention to continue as First Minister until my successor has been elected, particularly as the Parliament will be debating some incredibly important legislation in the coming days and the coming weeks. So to my colleagues in opposition, regardless of political party, I genuinely do wish you well. I bear no ill will and certainly bear no grudge against anyone. Politics can be a brutal business. It takes its toll on your physical and mental health. Your family suffer alongside you. I am in absolute debt to my wonderful wife, my beautiful children, and my wider family for putting up with me over the years. I'm afraid you will be seeing a lot more of me from now. You are truly everything to me. And although, of course, as you can tell, I'm sad that my time as First Minister is ending, but I am so grateful, I'm so blessed for having the opportunity that are afforded to so few to lead my country. And who could ask for a better country to lead than Scotland? Thank you very much.
I thought it was a very lovely speech from him, and I loved what he was saying about the diversity within the UK as well. I thought that was really beautiful from Humza Yousaf. You know, come across as a very humble, sincere guy there. I just want to say hello to One Angry Pagan, Alistair Keir, and 91 Leeds, and Joe Lefty Boater. If I haven't, I think that's everyone who's joined us in the chat as well. It's a case of, you know, there have been some political decisions. There have been some politics that obviously have not been on the same wavelength as with the Greens up there, and that's what's also been a factor into this. I think also one thing that is keeping the SNP and keeping the voters on board is obviously this continuous belief that we must the continued pursuit of pushing for that independence that the Scottish people so-called desire. Now, some people see this as an opportunity to try and divide the people of Scotland. I don't see it as that. I think it's really just a case of Scottish politics. And Humza Yousaf, I think, made a calculated decision, and it was a wrong decision. There were allegedly comments that he has said behind closed doors that he shouldn't have said as well about the Greens, and some of the ways that he handled it should have been handled better. Neither here nor there. I really don't think this is like the media here in England will play this out like this is the end of the SNP, or will blow it down and whatnot. I don't see it as that. It will not in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion, damage the determination of the people of Scotland and the SNP wanting to push for independence. There are obviously questions about like local politics and Scottish politics and about the ways that they do them. And obviously their hands are, it's very important to also continuously remember that no matter what happens, their hands are always strung by Westminster, by whatever happens up there. And there's only so much that they can do. So I really generally mean it. I wish Humza Yousaf all the best. And it will be very interesting to see what happens coming forward. So let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So Humza Yousaf has resigned as Scotland's First Minister after cutting ties with his government's power-sharing partners. Leader of the SNP, who only took on the role in March last year, has been at the centre of a chaotic few days in Hollywood after he made the surprise announcement to end his power-sharing deal with the Scottish Green Party on Thursday. Mr Yousaf cut the ties following a bitter row over the SNP's climb down on climate targets, as he said the agreement between the parties had served its purpose. But as a result, the former Greens allies teamed up with the Conservatives, Labour and Liberal Democrats to get behind the two no-confidence motions, one in himself as leader of Scotland and another regarding the entire Scottish government. Ahead of any of those votes taking place, Mr Yousaf stepped down as Scotland's First Minister just after midday on Monday and said that he was not willing to treat my values and principles or do deals with whoever simply for retaining power. He said he will remain in post until a replacement First Minister is chosen. Over the weekend, Mr Yousaf insisted that he would not resign, but by Monday morning his tune had changed and Sky News was told he was considering resigning. He was due to meet the Labour Party sole MSP, Ash Regan, who was set to make demands in exchange for her support during the confidence vote. Her vote could not have been the decider, but he chose to step down before it came to that. Announcing he was quitting, Mr said he was deeply underestimated the level of hurt and upset he caused the Greens when he cut his ties for them. Yeah, clearly there may have been comments that he has said and actions that he has done that is what has caused the rift to begin. I don't think there's a debate about that. We've read that already. It said it's been an honour to serve. Yeah, we've read that already. The politician whose parents are Pakistani and Kenyan also said that the evidence multiculturalism has flourished in the UK. People who look at me who were not in positions of political influence, let alone leading government, when I was younger, he said. We now live in a Britain that has a British Hindu Prime Minister, a Muslim Mayor of London, a black Welsh First Minister, and for a little while longer, a Scottish First Asian Minister in the country. And I love that he put that in his speech, to stick the knife, to really stick it to the far right and all these people talking about, that we are not a diverse, multicultural, not just here, in all aspects of the nations, not just England, Wales, and Scotland. I love that we have this multiculturalism, who have the problem with it. It's not going away, and I'm glad that the diversity is there and strong. Stephen Banker, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. For those who decry that multiculturalism has failed across the UK, I would suggest that the evidence is quite to the contrary, and that is something we should all celebrate. Couldn't agree more with that. He said he was proud to have overseen the most progressive tax system in the UK and played a part in lifting an expected 100,000 children out of poverty this year. He added that he will continue to campaign for independence, which he said feels frustratingly close, and he's absolutely certain his successor will achieve this. The race to place Mr Yousaf is now commenced, with a few names entering the fray, although none have officially thrown their hats in the ring. No, so it's too early to run there to announce them straight away, but the one person who has been spoken about is John Sweeting, who was deputy leader under Nicola Sturgeon, is being touted as the favourite, with SNP deputy leader Keith Brown among several to have publicly called for him to put himself forward. Yeah, Stephen Flynn has also kind of nudged, hinted that he was hinting on LBC's Andrew Marr, kind of saying, not straight up, not outright saying it, but just kind of saying he's going to put John Sweeting's going to put his hat in there. Artibus, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well as well. The current SNP Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, also offered to support to Miss Sweeting, telling Sky News serious times demand serious politics and serious people, and it's the best time to take forward now the Scottish National Party is John Sweeting. Mr Sweeting himself said he's been overwhelmed by messages from many colleagues who have asked him to stand, and he is considering it, but added there's a lot to think about, so he would make an announcement in the coming days. Sky Scotland correspondent Conor Mills said that if he does run, it will be difficult for any other candidates to make headway in the race, as he is an elder statesman, is highly respected and seen as a man of integrity within the party. However, sources close to Kate Forbes, who lost out to Mr Yousaf during last year's leadership contest, said the SNP was also actively considering another run for the top job. Nicola Sturgeon, who Mr Yousaf replaced after she resigned last year, said he had conducted himself with great dignity and integrity both as First Minister and in the manner of his leaving. Alba's Mrs Regan said it was bizarre some SNP MSPs would rather he resigned and do a deal with her pro-independent party led by the rival and former SNP Alex Salmond. The leader of Scottish Labour, Anna Swelly, said his party was still considering pushing forward with their no confidence vote in the whole government, despite Mr Yousaf's exit, as they don't believe the SNP can provide the stable, complex leadership country needs right now. Well, to be fair, like, you guys are, like, I hate to kind of put this to you, but you guys are kind of in bed with the Scottish, Conservatives, and that kind of, like, bit distasteful, and there's very much still a consideration that people still want independence as well. So it's kind of hard for you to really run your mouse, Labour, if I'm honest. But some people may, I do believe, so there are some polls I have seen where more people are looking to vote Labour. But I think it's more of a case, not so much about independence and union, but I think some people are having that perception is a case of, to do absolutely anything and everything to oust the Conservatives here in Westminster. And I generally don't think that Scottish people should be voting for Labour up there. But at the end of the day, it's up to the people of Scotland who they want to vote to. But that's just my personal opinion. Speaking to Sky News, he also criticised his rival for having a third leader in a year, saying Nicola Sturgeon herself said that we shouldn't have a revolving door around Downing Street when Rishi Sunak was elected as a Conservative Party leader. I think this is exactly the same principle applies in Scotland, and that should be in the people of Scotland to decide who leads the country, not a backroom stitched up by the SNPs or a handful of SNP members. I think if the polls were saying that they weren't happy with the SNPs, if they weren't happy with the pro-independence party, if they weren't happy with the SNP, if they wanted it, the polls would suggest that. But it's not the same as the Conservatives. There's a great deal of hatred towards the Conservatives. I know some people don't like the comparison between Scotland and England, but this is the best comparison I can possibly make. The Scottish Conservatives, who had brought the no confidence vote in the First Minister, said they said they had forced Humza Yousaf out of office for repeatedly failing Scotland. I don't think that was you guys. No, I don't think you can take credit for that. Faced with a vote with no confidence, the SNP leader has quit rather than face a humiliating defeat, said leader Douglas Ross, as he called on the next minister to abandon the nationalist obsession with independence. Nope, that is not going away, and you know it. The co-leader of the Scottish Green Party, Lauren Slater, was a little kinder, praising Mr Yousaf's lovely resignation speech, saying she was sad to see the working relationship end on a personal level. But she told Sky News, on a political level, the First Minister made a political decision, and this is inevitable fallout from that decision. She said she would be very petty of the Tories to press forward with their motion now that Mr Yousaf has resigned. Spokesman for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he will work with Mr Yousaf as Secretary to deliver on the real issues that matter to the people, and said that people do not want to be distracted by the inner workings of politics, but want to see their governments working together on delivering their priorities. Well, I really don't care what Mr Sunak has to say, because it's, quite frankly, I don't think he can add anything yet to this. But it is obviously it's a knock. It's definitely a real knock for the SNP, regardless of what anybody says. The media will hype this up a lot more than it will hype this up a lot more. It is a big deal. It is quite a shame that it's happened to come to this, but I also think it was good that that Scotland, what they do have is proportional representation, so there is more of those diversity of voices for the people of Scotland when it comes to their votes, both local and on a general election scale. So there is much more of that than there is in England, which is something that we should that I think we should have here in England and in Wales and indeed in Northern Ireland. We should have a proportional representation system, and that system really does keeps the likes of Conservatives and Labour and even Lib Dems anywhere near any kind of stranglehold when it comes to it. But it will be. I will obviously keep an eye on it. I won't be doing any videos specifically on it because it's not really my expertise, as you guys know. Scottish politics is never really. I always encourage people, if you want the best knowledge on Scottish politics, the best guys to do it is the youtube.com/the Two Davies show. The Two Davies do a wonderful take on what's happening in terms of Scottish politics. If someone could put a link in the script in the live chat, it would be greatly appreciated. They'll have another show on Thursday, I believe. So, and I'm sure that Max Robespierre will no doubt be will no doubt get him on the Sunday roast at some point, obviously, to discuss this whole issue as well. So we'll also help better explain as well. But yeah, do check out their YouTube channel to help if you want a better insight as into all of this. It'd be really important. Just going back to the poll, 21 people cast their votes asking, was it right for Humza Yousaf to step down as Scotland's First Minister? 33% say yes, 24% say no, 43% are not sure. That's why I put the not sure, because I know some people don't know the full context, which is totally understandable. So, which obviously is important. Alistair Keir, thank you so much for £5 super chat. It's very kind of you. Vote of no confidence. If Greens vote with the Unionists, then the Greens are finished in Scotland. Just my opinion. All right, thanks for that, Alistair. Appreciate that. Obviously, I don't know too well enough about the ins and outs of Scottish politics, but I appreciate the super chat. But it'd be interesting to see who becomes the successor. Looking like John Sweeney, obviously, and we'll obviously keep an eye out and see. I will do some short video. I may do some 1 or 2 short videos on this, guys. Ooh, not the mic, but I won't be doing any big videos on this in any way. I'll let the experts on Scottish politics handle this. Simon says 55. Good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I'm just going to scroll up on the YouTube chat just to see who else. Just see what everybody else is saying. Greens are going to regret this as SNP members put Greens in second vote in Scottish government elections. They no longer get that. Steve McMorran says, sounds fascinating. Number 3 for the pivotal point, British history, get more people to realise. Oh, okay, he's talking about something else there. Just read the live stream. Oh, thanks, Andrew Luke. Appreciate that. I think it will bolster the SNPs as being a member of the malls, no matter what the MSMs try to make out of it. The mainstream media, yes. Any media attacks on other parties putting the boot into the SNP only makes it stronger. Yeah, that's what they all try to do. 27 days to get a new first minister. Waiting on my voting paper for the new first minister once they have a candidate as an SNP member, says Alistair Keir. Cathal, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Just going to scroll down a little bit just to see what else is people saying. Mad Monk has provided the link for it. Jow, it's all good, buddy. Stephen Banker says, as I said, independence is the people, and it's a shame that the Greens are starting to act like a London-based party. It will damage them in Scotland. Independence will not be broken. Interesting. Miserable out there. Oh, you're not having great weather here. I've actually had good weather here, to be fair. Wasting time thinking about how other people obtain emotional or sexual pleasure and questioning as it's got to be the most Victorian thing to do. Glad I'm very pagan about it, says Jow. Tory ignore the public wants and needs, says Jeannie Bottle. Yes, that is true. That is true. Little Rishi's voice always breaks when he is straining to convince his shareholders. Yes, that is true. Yeah. Right, so we'll move on from that, but obviously I'll try and do some short videos. And obviously, yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty more discussion about it as it goes along, guys. The next topic we're going to talk about is Brexit. Yes, Brexit. This one is from The Guardian. Ireland reaps a £700 million Brexit bonanza from custom duties. Doubling records, near doubling of tax revenue from duties on imports of clothing, food and other goods from Great Britain. Brexit bonanza. There's a Brexit benefit. It's just not for Britain again. Yeah, I know. So some of the revenues came from non-EU goods that are being held in Great Britain for distribution, including clothes, and then sold to Irish stores such as Pennies there. So yeah, Brexit benefit coming for the people of Ireland. To be fair, they are reaping the benefits. We know Northern Ireland are reaping the benefits, obviously, having the access to the single market and the Britain's market as well. Having that little point there is really good for them as well. This kind of just once again sticking in the knife in. I'd like to hear Nigel Farage actually talk about this great Brexit benefit. Except it's not a great Brexit benefit for the UK. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm always, if Ireland is doing well, I'm very happy to have been part Irish, but not at our expense, if I'm honest, guys. But again, we continue to ignore the big fat white elephant in the room. I know in the general election, both the Conservatives and Labour will try to ignore the big fat white elephant in the room. Obviously, and even the Lib Dems are going to try and avoid talking about it as well, even though they are a party that should be talking about it. And I actually think that if Lib Dems were talking about it more, they probably would get even more votes. But yeah, so let's read more into this, you guys. So Ireland has landed a €700 million, a Brexit bonanza with a steep increase in tax revenues flowing from customs duties now applicable to imports of clothing, food and other goods from Great Britain. Before Brexit, Britain enjoyed their custom-free exports to Ireland and the rest of the EU because it was part of the single market and customs union. But when Boris Johnson steered a hard Brexit and quit the single market, it meant fresh controls, checks and duties would be payable on exports to the EU. New data in Ireland shows a 90% jump in customs duty receipts in Ireland between 2020 and 2021 when Brexit came into force. Taking the pandemic into account and comparing 2019 with the 3 post-Brexit years, a significant jump in revenue can be seen. In 2021, there was a €178 million increase, or 52% rise in customs revenues compared with 2019. In the following year, receipts were 80% higher by the same comparison, amounting to an extra €617 million. And in 2023, the Irish Exchequer scooped a 72% increase. What a great Brexit benefit to Ireland. The report released by the Irish Revenue Commissioner on Friday noted that a significant amount of customs duty came from imports from China, but it attributed to the scale of change to Brexit. The level of customs duties has effectively doubled in recent years compared to the previous decade, reflecting the transformation of Great Britain into a third country, it said. The report added that Great Britain was the top country of dispatch on both customs duties and the value of imported goods. Customs duties collected on imports from Great Britain make up almost half, that's 45%, of Ireland's total last year, equivalent to about €264 million. Figures compiled by the preliminary revenue report suggest that almost all of the increase in customs revenues over the past 3 years has been due to Brexit. So this, it's not, if I can just pull, can I just get it right there? Yeah, so this graph here, this is Irish customs revenues almost double because of Brexit tariffs on imports from Great Britain. So the light blue is on non-GB imports and the dark is on GB imports. And you can see quite clearly there from 2021, 2022, 2023, got themselves quite a boon. Quite a boon there, didn't they? And I've said this before, and I've said this again. This did not need to happen. This is not what people voted for in 2016. We did not vote to leave the European Union. We did not leave. We did. Let me correct myself. It was overall the UK voted to leave the EU, but they did not leave to leave the single market. There's a very continuously difference there. But just looking at that really does, really is so annoying. Casper Northrow, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. David Hine, the director of UK Trade Policy Project at the European Centre of International Political Economy, said, It could be seen as a good news for Ireland, but there's a bit of bad news there, which points to the cost of Brexit. And the question is, who is paying for the customs duties? Excuse me, is coming off profits of exporters and is being passed on to the consumer in the price of clothing and food. Not all goods attract tariffs, and those that comply with the rules of origin are made in the EU, or the UK have zero tariffs under the Brexit trade deal. He said he thought some of the tariff revenues enjoyed by Ireland came from non-EU goods being held in Great Britain for distribution to the UK and Ireland, such as clothes being made in India, Bangladesh or Morocco and sold in high street stores such as Penneys in Ireland, owned by Primark. This seems to be confirmed by the data. The Revenue Commissioner's report said prior to the UK's departure from the EU, a significant proportion of the goods destined for Ireland came via distribution centres in the UK, and the UK would have collected the customs duties on behalf of the EU. Since Brexit, Ireland is now required to collect those customs duties, it said. Not all revenue remains in Ireland. Under EU agreements, a member state can retain 25% of duties elected, with the remaining going into the bloc's overall central budget. Yeah. So while it may look like this Ireland is getting all this money, it's not really getting all of it, but it's getting a good cut of it. Yeah, that's for sure from that graph. According to the data, the largest custom income in 2023 was from articles of apparel and clothing accessories of about 146 million euros, followed by plastic vehicles and footwear, gaiters and the alike. Electrical machinery came next, followed by preparations of meat, fish, croissants, muscles and other aquatic interbraids. The Brexit bonanza is likely to be reflected across the EU, but is particularly felt in Ireland because Great Britain is one of its biggest trading partners, with exports worth of 57.6 billion to the country in 2023, according to data released by HMRC on the 19th of April, making Ireland the UK's sixth largest trading partner. Like we're saying, you always want to trade with your neighbours. Trading with your neighbours is very good. Putting up barriers against your neighbours is not ideal. And I think everybody would agree with that. And it's quite pathetic that we have these barriers to our neighbours that we can't trade. Well, we can trade, but it just costs more money. And in the end, we are just going to end up paying for it, and it's just not right. It's very, very frustrating to say the least. What's that, Ollie? Yeah, he says Ireland should give that money back, but that's not how it works, Ollie. That's not how it works. Pingu doesn't want to say anything on it. He has no comment. But just a reminder, guys, there are new custom emojis in the for members there, so feel free to check out the new emojis now. So there's not just 4, there's a whole bunch more. If we get another 14 members, another 14, 15 members, guys, I can add even more emojis, custom emojis, just for the members there, if you guys are just curious. But just finally on this is just once again another Brexit bonanza kamikaze. We continue to ignore the white elephant in the room, and it's when are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up to this reality? My general hope is that I'd like to think that Labour will wake up to that reality when they come into power, but you know, they keep saying they're going to make Brexit work. I don't know how they're going to make Brexit work. I really don't know how they're going to make Brexit work, but somehow they say they're going to make Brexit work, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. But it's just so unnecessary. Just before I come to you guys in the chat, 25 people have cast their votes so far on the live YouTube chat poll. But for some reason, my Twitch chat keeps disabling. For some reason, I don't know why. Very weird. Keeps disabling for some reason. Was it right for Humza Yousaf to step down as Scotland's First Minister? 33% say yes, 26% say no, 41% are not sure. So thank you guys for casting your votes on that live YouTube chat poll. Let me just see. Oh, Alistair Keir has just gifted 5 memberships. I was just cutting it down now. Thank you. He's gifted memberships to Mad Monk 33, Kit Astro, Craig Harrison, Rachel, and Mark R. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the 5 gifted memberships. I really appreciate it. Gets us a little bit closer to unlocking more emojis for you guys to have fun with. Yes, yeah. The reaction ones, they were pain. They were pain to. Took me an hour to make some of these emojis, guys. So it wasn't the problem of actually making them. It was actually getting them onto the computer from my phone was the biggest headache I had. Yeah, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed those. emojis. Let me just see what you guys are saying in the chat with regards to this story. Also, olive oil, wines, textures, and all triple profits. The tax from us from here, and 6 times the cost of UK supermarkets and shops. Lovely, says Jal. Kind of meant the growing benefits from this benefit in Scotland, says Stephen Banker to Alistair Keir. Considering the economy is reversed, Westminster is not that bad. Charging Brits tourism from third countries here is fun, says Jal. And Boris said he wanted to leave quickly, so he got his Brexit, says Jal. It's the best outside of London, according to recent figures. One Angry Pagan said, I didn't vote in the referendum. I was willfully ignorant of politics at that point. I regret that now. The issue is the UK only had access to the SM via its EU membership, so it had to remain. So to remain in the single market, it would have to negotiate an agreement simultaneously with the leaving agreement and the TCA. It's important to remember, Jal, that after the referendum, the deals that the deals that Theresa May had was us still being a part of the single market and customs unions. There were some of those, some of them, and the EU were happy for us to still be a part of those in them. But the big problem was obviously the hard right within the Conservative Party just would not budge on that issue. But it's also important to remember, very, very important to remember this, yeah? Before that vote, we were told we would not be leaving the single market and customs union. It's a very important point people were told that nothing would change if we voted to leave. It's an important point that people tend to forget. Just did a search and can't find any SNP Conservative working together in the past, but that could be a Google thing, says Mad Monk. Boggy missed the Brexit benefit, where still, since he moved his business to Ireland, he was already benefiting big time, even more so now, says Wolf Pet. Caffel said an increase in customs, which we don't want. It creates a deadweight loss, and it's a worse situation for importers and GB exporters, says Caffel. Scottish economy could be booming if it was independent. That's a fact. Yeah, it would. It would be. It would be. That is for sure. Why has Mark moved his fortune, his investment to Ireland? He wants all the UK to have cheaper footwear and food, says Jal. Brexit is like one of those 30-day romance marriages that's taking years to get a divorce from, says Stephen Banker. Good evening, Mark Teflar. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, scroll down to see if I'm not missing anything. The May deals are being negotiated and would probably have been solved with time, but the hard right wanted to leave and go. Yeah, exactly. I'm still very bitter about Brexit, says Joe Lefty. Yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way. Rat says Labour also voted against Theresa May's backstop deal. If Labour had backed the backstop, the UK would still be in the single market. Yeah, Labour's position didn't help either. Good to see you, Chatty Rat. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah, Labour did not help themselves as well, to be fair. Health and happiness for yourself and anybody on stream, or $1 billion or 2, says Mark Teffer. You got $1 billion hanging around? You could always pump it in, put it in the super chat, Mark. Would be very helpful if you happen to have $1 billion. Right, let's move on to the next one, guys, and then I'll do. This one's also for the Guardian, but it's a short one, guys. Some more Lib Dem policies out there. We could take these with a pinch of salt because we don't think they're going to get into any. We may get into power. They may get in some kind of power, maybe not. But this is what the Lib Dems are kind of talking about, not about Brexit. Lib Dems pledge access to the same named GP for over 70s and long-term sick. So polling for party shows 47% of UK adults rarely or never see the same doctor for each appointment. Now, this is a crucial thing, and I'm sure those up in Scotland know how important it is when you go to see your doctor or GP. It's always the same one that's always been there, the one that looks after you, the one that kind of knows you and whatnot. The last thing you want is whenever you have problems that you keep having a different doctor, a different GP seeing you. It's not ideal. It's not uncomfortable. You know, you want that same person that you've had all the time. And the Lib Dems want to try and stick to that. Obviously, there's always the question of how you're going to pay for it, how it's going to cost, how you're going to make this happen, all these kind of questions. But I'm pretty sure everyone's broadly will agree with the Lib Dems that people should have access to the same GP and doctor whenever it comes to any medical needs or aids that they need help with, because obviously, and it's also established that relationship as well. with your doctor. Nobody likes constantly, if you're having to go back to doctors and GPs and whatnot, and it's always someone different every single time. It's not ideal. You know, there's the social aspect, I think, as well. There's a social aspect that plays a part in it as well, and I think that's an important thing, which is why while I love this, I love this idea. How you put it in as of right now, I'm not 100% sure, but let's just read exactly what they have to say here. So people aged over 70 and those with long-term health conditions would have access to the same named GPs for every appointment under plans unveiled by the Liberal Democrats. As polling reveals, almost half of Britons rarely or never seen their family doctor. The Lib Dem leader, Ed Davies, said the policy will require 8,000 more GPs to take at least 4 years to implement at the cost of an extra £1 billion a year, with the money coming from taxing big banks. Elderly people with those with long-term conditions, including mental health conditions, have been found to benefit from most of the access to the same GP. The Lib Dem said, pointing to a study that found that people who have had kept the same GP for more than 15 years have a 25% lower chance of dying than those with a new GP in the first year. Polling commissioned by the party found almost half, 47% of UK adults who have seen a GP more than once in the last couple of years said they have rarely or never seen the same doctor for each appointment. That's bad. With almost 1 in 5, 18% saying they never do. This latter number rises to 27% among people aged over 65. That's worse. Yeah, and like it's much worse at an older age as well. Like that social connection really does matter. And I also think it plays, I mean, it sounds silly, but I also think there's a mental part of this that plays into it too, guys. You know, keep talking to a different GP all the time. They're not gonna, they don't like, and they're not gonna know the exact conversations to detail of what you had with the last doctor or the doctor before that. It's like, so that does play a bit. It is a scandal that under this government watch, the family GP has become a thing of the past, as Davies said. Pensioners are not receiving the care they need because doctors' surgeries are swamped, leaving waiting times spiraling out of control. We need a return to family GP, starting with older people and those with long-term health conditions. We want to see a return of the named GP, so patients with complex care need to see the same GP and don't have to waste time going over the same details every time they see a doctor. Excuse me. This will provide vital, personalised care for those who need it most, helping people live healthier lives independently in their own homes whenever possible. The regions worst for people never seen the same for GPs for every appointment is the southeast of England, 25%. The polling also found almost half, 46%, of adults said they want to see the same GP. It's now considerably longer, rising to 55% of over 65s. David told BBC's Sunday with Laura Queensborough programme, all the evidence shows having a named GP improves their health conditions and it actually saved the NHS money because people don't go into hospital so often. So it's a really sensible policy. You're right, others have promoted it before. Jeremy Hunt, the former Health Secretary, now Chancellor, did, but I'm afraid what they implement as a sort of tick box exercise has not been implemented. So many people complain that they don't see the same GP. Asked how it would be funded, he replied, "We have said that the tax cuts that the Conservatives have given to the big banks since 2015 should be reversed. That's worth £4 billion a year, not to pay for the part of our policy, but for many other parts of our healthcare policy." The other factor you have to take into account is the lack of doctors as well, lack of GPs. That's going to be a problem with this policy too. Like I'm sure you guys agree with me on it. I'm all in favour of patients and people who their local doctor should always be the same person. It shouldn't have to be someone different. I think that's really, really important, and especially for those of you who are watching living abroad, how often you always have the same doctor when it comes to your issues, and I think that's really, really important. So while I'm totally on board with the Lib Dems pledge here, whether or not Labour will adopt it is another thing. I hope. Don't trust West Streeting for obvious reasons. I hope that Labour will try to adopt this kind of policy. I'm sure the Lib Dems will try to push for this coming in after the general election. I don't expect to be a hung parliament. I don't expect Labour, Lib Dems to be an opposition party. It would be great if they do. I think that's still jumping the gun at the moment, but things could change. But they are talking a lot about the NHS. They're talking a lot about the environment, Lib Dems. They are saying the right things to drive voters away from the Conservatives if they can't vote for Labour in terms of tactical voting. It will be very interesting to see what happens at the local elections. We will discuss the local elections on Wednesday on the Snowflake Watch, guys, in case you're wondering why I'm not going to cover it today. But I do think it is a lot of food for thought, that is for sure. I'm just going to say, guys, while you're here, what's that? Pingu? Yeah. Pingu says, if you guys can, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it, and share it across social media so others are notified of this video, because that really does help. And yes, oh yes, of course. He also, Pingu says, subscribe as well. That does help as well. Subscribing does make a big difference as well, guys. So just before we got to a little funny video as well, guys. Just a reminder, guys, if you haven't already, if you have Facebook, please consider hitting under my links tree, the links tree which has access to all my links. There is a Facebook page I've got for REGANELITE. I put up there all the content that I put up here on YouTube, and also from Patreon and Rumble as well. So if you want to know what I'm putting up on Rumble or Patreon, you can also follow that as well. All my short videos as well are now going to be put on the Facebook page as well. So if you have Facebook, please consider hitting the like and sharing and thumbs up and all that stuff on the Facebook page. If you don't know, if you can't find it, simply type in the name REGANELITE and it should come up as a Facebook page on Facebook, guys. So if anyone can do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys. For those who have done so already, really appreciate it. So let's take a little break, shall we? From all the caveat. What's? Okay. When did they say this? It was 3 days ago. Oh, okay. He said it was 3 days ago, but he still wants me to play it. Okay. This is apparently broken news from Larry and Paul, but it's 3 days ago, though. Okay. He wants me to play it, so I'll play it for you guys. Broken news from Larry and Paul. Hope you guys enjoy.
Welcome to Broken News. A group of rich British people say lower taxes are the way to win their vote at the upcoming election. They say they'll support whichever party promises the lighter tax burden, even if the consequences are the complete shredding of the fabric and quality of British life. Our reporter has more.
In a statement delivered a few moments ago here in this sleepy village in the Cotswolds, obviously, the group said they can't be arsed having to think about what political parties might actually stand for, and have instead boiled their voting decision down to how much a manifesto saves them on personal tax. The wealthy owners of multiple cars, properties and pensions, obviously, said sure, it would be a real shame if all the children's centres and libraries in the UK were to close and there was loads of shit in rivers and homeless on the streets or whatever, but our priority is saving a few quid so that we can buy a new set of RHS Malvern deerskin gardening gloves that we'll probably never use. Using a calculator that doesn't also make phone calls or connect to the internet, one member of the group, a retired dentist obviously, said he'd figured out that under the Nazi Party he'd have been £17 a year better off, and that seemed like a good deal, despite what he described as some of the less savoury stuff. Back to you.
What a lovely story. That's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
Larry and Paul, guys, make sure you check out their YouTube channel, Larry and Paul. That one was a couple of days ago, but I was pushed by Ollie to play that one for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, guys. As always, hope you guys are enjoying the funny video there. They always do good stuff. They're so good, guys. In fact, they're so good, I'll have one more at the end of the show for you guys as well. So, speaking of Labour, I've got an interesting one from you from Labour. This one is from the Financial Times, believe it or not. Here, the headline here is Labour are to axe the government's levelling up phrase. God, I ruined that, didn't I? Phrase. The party said it will sever ties with the Tories' failed policy. Yeah, I mean, like the leveling up sort of gimmick. It's a gimmick, is what it is. It doesn't actually level up the country. It doesn't. It's not actually made. You know, some parts of the UK have leveled up to an extent by the Conservatives, but most of it has been by the Conservatives' hands and mitigating other places. Like the money has not been disproportionately fairly shared amongst constituencies. I think that's fair to say. The whole levelling up sort of thing has kind of been a dead duck, and it makes sense for Labour to kind of axe that phrase altogether. So I wonder what's their term? They say they're gonna grow the economy. Obviously, we don't know how they're gonna grow the economy. So what are they gonna do? Build back Britain or something? So, you know, build back Britain. That could be their slogan. Could be build back Britain, maybe. Yeah, they're no longer going to be using the phrase leveling up, apparently. So a Labour government would axe the term levelling up to describe attempts to tackle regional inequalities in favour of a new language in a bid to sever ties with the Conservatives' legacy. We want to define our own terms because of the failure of the government's policy when it comes to levelling up, a Labour spokesperson said. After this meant that the party would drop the phrase, they replied, correct. The slogan was devised by Boris Johnson, the former Conservative Prime Minister, in 2019 to brand his flagship plan of bringing economic prosperity to the left-behind towns and cities. And how are those towns and cities doing, by the way, guys? Oh, right. Right, nothing's changed for those ones. But the policy has so far delivered mixed results, with as little as 10% spent on the promised funding to regenerate struggling areas, according to the House and Commons Public Accounts Committee. 10%. I don't call that levelling up. Methinks. Not sure about that one, guys. This is the part where you put in the emoji, guys. Shadow Minister said the levelling up department, which is also responsible for communities and housing, will probably be rechristened if Labour won the general election expected this year. Labour was polling 20 points ahead of the Tories, according to the Financial Times tracker. One Labour official suggested the department's original name of Communities, Housing and Local Government could be restored, describing this as the Royal option, referring to the paint brand well known for doing what it says on the tin. In an interview with the Financial Times, Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner said she was not precious about the ministry's new name. If her party comes to power, she is tipped to take charge of the sweeping portfolio spanning employment reform to housing and regional policy. Labour is currently the subject of a police investigation into a tax arrangements from a decade ago. Yeah, we're not here to talk about that. It's about getting the fundamentals, not about slogan. I'm not in a room with a Malcolm Tucker type spin doctor writing post-it notes on what my department should be called. It's about how to do it and really make the change, she says. Yeah, I mean, people like catchphrases and slogans and whatnot, which are not, they are kind of a niche thing to help with people, but yeah, they just want the actual, they just want the actual work done. They want to see the change. They don't want to hear, some people are into the case of hearing a slogan and falling for it, but people want to, but there are obviously people with a bit more of a brain cell saying, look, we like the slogans and whatnot, but do something about the country. It's not doing very well right now. So, yeah. Earlier this spring, Rayner's team held meetings with aides from Labour leader Keir Starmer's office to discuss replacing the language around levelling up, according to the people familiar with the matter. People at one of the meetings were talking about wanting to spend economic growth elsewhere, and for everyone, something else suggested the replacing levelling up with take back control. The Brexit slogan in 2016, one party insider said, why would anyone in Labour suggest such a stupid slogan? Was that from, I'm going to go out on a limb and say whoever said that slogan and put that idea to Labour, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it might have been a Tory defector. I'm just going to say maybe. There is a genuine question about whether we've left it too late to find a phrase that would stick with the public given the election is looming, they said. But some senior aides are wary of putting too much political emphasis on the policy after numerous governments have failed to reduce regional inequality. There is an element of it's better to make small commitments than you could just give one big one. You can't set one. This is the thing. Like if they stuck with the slogan of we're going to level up the whole of Britain, and it's just like, well, that means, you know, are you going to be able to do every single town, every single community, every single high street? Are you really going to be able to deliver on that? It all costs money. And the problem is we don't have the money that we used to have when we were a part of the EU. So there has to be a bit of realism here. The reality is I think it's better. I generally agree that it is better to make small commitments rather than make big ones. On in terms of investment scale, I think that makes it a lot more better. Rayner told the FT that Labour would deliver fundamental changes in the first term of government, but she warned it could take a decade to fully rebuild Britain after years of austerity and deep cuts to public service. This is absolutely true. They need to make those fundamental changes if they come into power at the next general election. She cautioned that a Labour administration could not fix everything overnight after a wrecking ball of 14 years of Conservative-led government, but added within 10 years Britain will be transformed. I do think Britain will change within 10 years. The question is, will it change for the benefit of the people, or will it change for the benefit of, once again, for the benefit of the rich and the wealthy? I think that is a question we should be asking ourselves there. Make English rivers brown again. They're already brown, Simon. What are you talking about? An incoming Labour government would face eye-watering tight public finance with planned departmental spending cuts due to take effect after the election. There are things that we can do immediately, like the Employment New Deal and the regional growth plans, getting the house built and planning reforms, as well as the Green Prosperity Plan. You will start to see the green shoots of renewal, she added. Let's hope so. Let's hope so, guys. I will say, obviously, like slogans and all that kind of stuff, is like they're cool, but they're not. They're not the thing that people want to know. Some people want to know the ins and outs, the details. Some people just want to hear something that's going to tell them, yeah, this is a great idea. And some people are just like, meh, they just don't care, you know. And there's obviously those kind of people who just have no interest in politics and are not going to cast their votes whatsoever because they're already they feel they've lost complete and utter trust in any politicians, especially what's been happening recently. So it's different for everyone, to be fair. Make freezers bigger and switch them on at Boris's warehouse, says Andrew Luke. Yep, that could be true. If they get more browner, they will be renamed Cow Cutter, says Chow. Very good. There's a song about the White Cliffs of Dover now renamed the Brown Cliffs of Dover. Yeah, I've heard the term Brown Cliffs of Dover. I'm pretty sure when the whole story about the rivers and all that stuff started happening, I remember we were joking in one of Max's live streams about the Brown Cliffs of Dover. So yeah, I remember that one. Actions speak louder than words, to Stephen Banker. 100%. Make Britain break again, building Britain back. Yeah. Those slogans, that certain slogans work, especially if it's a new one that people aren't familiar with. They are actually getting smaller due to poor nutrition, it seems. Jow says to Stephen Morn. Make bits of Britain great again. Yeah, what the hell are they on about? Shambles, says Ben Shaw. The other Brexit slogan: 3 minutes in 900 watts, 3.5 minutes in an 800 watts. What is that actually? Talk is cheap, says Jow. Must have been a real diesel power bill in the end, says Jow to Alistair Keir. It was one bus that people all over the UK believe it. Jow also says slogans are good for the literate. People who understand the world prefer actions of concentration of policies. Some people just like the slogans. It's everybody's different, to be fair. Best slogan, the story. Never trust a Tory. That is a slogan. You should just put that. Like, literally, just put that on every... that could be the slogan Labour should go. Never trust a Tory. It will stick, to be fair. Tufton Streeting, says Mark Tefler. Yep. I mean, he took donations. I've seen the records. But I have seen his records. But I've not seen him take explicit records from private health companies. But it would not surprise me if there are records of them. Just going to put that on the record. On the record on here, allegedly. I think the new Tories are aiming high, wanting to axe the phrase. Why they don't axe the phrase stop small boats? Let's not be too hard on the money spent in Michael Gove's initiative. Class A drugs are expensive, says Andrew Luke. As Sakira reminds us all of the lots and lots of emojis. Yeah, Pingu and Ollie have emojis together as well. Giles says Labour have been levelling up and down, especially after the EU regional funds that were replaced by promises in a red bus. Yeah, what happened to that bus? What happened to that bus, guys? Just levelling now. Yeah. There is scarcity of building materials in the UK, except the ones that could be collected in the rivers. Yeah, All Shorts has talked about this in the past, about how difficult it is to get the materials in. You know, for the UK to build the houses and homes and whatnot, so you need the materials for them, and he's talked about this he's talked about this in the past on his channel, All Shorts. For those who haven't checked out his channel, he's talked about that in great length as well. It's words, except new Tory to introduce a policy into good things, says Andrew Luke. Trickling up, levelling down, it's plucked. It's kaplunked, says Mark. Leveling up, but you have to insert a coin, says Chap. Well, but I don't have any more coins. Duke Vengeance, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. So Larry the Cat, good to see you there as well. Good. Hope you guys are doing well. Just before we go to the next article, just asking in the poll, was it right for Humza Yousaf to step down as Scotland's First Minister? 29 of you guys have cast your vote so far. 34% of you say yes. 24% of you say no. 41% are not sure. It's a very mixed result there on the live YouTube chat poll. Very mixed result there. So not everyone's 100% sure on that one. To be fair, it's not an easy one, especially if you don't know Scottish politics. So I don't blame some people for putting don't know, because it's a tough one to know off the bat. Let me make sure, is that the right one? It is. Next one I got for you guys is an exclusive from iNews. Fresh blow for the Prime Minister, as poll reveals 21% of Tory councillors have considered defecting. The polling shows 21% of 391 Tory councillors questioned said they had thought of switching parties at least once. Well, I think if those 391 Tory councillors might get a bit less if before the local election is coming up. Yeah, I mean, I really don't like people switching from conservatives to Labour, and then considering that they're speaking as if they're trying to speak to say, yeah, I'm thinking about the best interest of the country now. And it's just like, dude, you've been part of a Conservative government for 14 years of austerity. Like, I don't like these defections going from Conservative to Labour. It's very infuriating that it keeps happening. But this is not surprising. I mean, like, you only need to see the damn interview he had on Sunday on Sunday on Swiss Sky News was it Trevor Phillips? I mean, like, Sunak is just a robot. He's just a robot. I mean, he's pathetic. He really, really is pathetic. I mean, like, at least, like, and this is going to sound crazy, but you know, Boris Johnson bluffs and blusters and whatnot, but at least he makes, in my opinion, Boris Johnson makes more of an effort than Rishi Sunak when it comes to these difficult challenges. And I agree with what Max was saying in response to this. It's like he's never been criticised before. It's like he's never been told no before. He comes across to me like somebody who generally just does not know what criticism is. He's never heard of criticism. That's the thing. Like, it's crazy. How did someone like him end up as Prime Minister? Well, the problem is, Regan, we ended up picking... they picked a lettuce to run the country. And, that lettuce crashed the economy. Well, didn't really crash the economy, but the only reason she was kind of forced out was because she nearly, destroyed the pensioners, all the pensions that people had in the whole of the UK, which would have been an absolute kamikaze of a disaster. Yeah. And then the last one, obviously, was kind of like, that he was already he had so many scandals over him. I mean, Partygate, yeah. But we got this guy. I mean, I'm so sick to death of these merry-go-round. It's been so long. I really want that general election. So the possible that it might be in July, maybe. It hasn't ruled it out, but we'll have to obviously wait and see whether we will get a general election in July. The sooner the better. obviously, I think how bad the Conservatives are going to do at the local elections coming up. I have my poll card here. Luckily, my polling station is literally around the corner from me. At the moment, I've been torn between voting Labour or Greens for the London mayoral elections. So I'm probably going to cast my vote for both for Greens, if I'm honest. Probably. I still haven't decided yet. So I'm kind of sitting on the fence on it because I'm so worried about people actually voting for Susan Hall that she may upset the odds and get through, because some people really hate Sadiq Khan. Even though the polls are in favour of Khan, there is that part of me in the back of my mind, because I am worried about that. So, but this man, I don't blame a lot of Conservative councillors and Conservatives in the party thinking, you know what, I should just get out while I can, because this man is dragging me in this party down, and he is dragging the party. He really is dragging the party. So 1 in 5 Conservative councillors have considered standing for another party, according to a new survey. With days to go in what is expected to be a bruising set of local elections for Rishi Sunak's party, the eye can reveal that just over 20% of Tory councillors have contemplated defecting. Polling carried out between February and March showed that 21% of the 391 Tory councillors questioned whether they have thought of switching parties. 11% of doing so often and sometimes, 2% said often, and 9% thought of defecting sometimes. A further 10% said they had considered it but rarely. Some 70% said they have never thought of leaving the Conservatives to stand for a rival party. Yeah, some people are just like loyalty to the end, but that loyalty can get stretched, especially when you've had problems after problems after problems. So many problems. That loyalty really does get questioned, doesn't it? The survey was carried out by Savannah on behalf of Labour Together, the think tank closely associated with the opposition leader Keir Starmer. Right, so take it with... Oh, you know what I've always said with polls, take them with a big, massive pinch of salt. It's from Labour Together. I mean, just take a big chunk of salt and just dump that on this article. The findings have been shared ahead of this week's local elections in England and Wales, which are expected to be a tough fight for the Tories with considerable losses. Responding to the polling, a Tory spokesperson dismissed the suggestion that Tory councillors were poised to jump ships. I disagree. I would not blame a lot of people to think that. It's clear that these councillors overwhelmingly back the Conservative Party as the only party that has a plan to deliver for people across the country, they said. He's funny. The only Conservative councillors can deliver on local people's priorities while also reducing value for money services, while also cutting your taxes, giving you higher crime, more immigration, and more potholes that can't be filled. Vote Conservative. Don't vote Conservative. The survey was carried out before the definition of the ex-Health Minister, Dr. Dan Poulter, who quit the Conservative Party and moved to Labour. But his findings are likely to be another blow for Mr. Sunak as he seeks to gear up his party's local leaders ahead of Thursday's vote. Pollsters have predicted a bruising result for the party, which could lose hundreds of seats. By the way, if I'm absolutely honest, he said in that interview on Sunday, Rishi Sunak said, I've been out and about talking to people, and I'm like, where? Where's your video? Where's the video footage? I'm like, hold on. Surely I would have seen video footage of you, Prime Minister, chatting to local people on the constituencies, on the high street, talking to local people, and getting their thoughts and opinions on. What's this? There's no video footage of this, but you just said you've been talking to people. It's almost as if he made it up. Go figure. Dr. Poulter said he had taken the decision because the Tories were failing for the health service and could no longer look each NHS colleagues in the eye as a Conservative. The Conservatives was not focused on delivering support, high quality public service, he said, whereas Labour has a track record of delivering for patients. Dr. Poulter, who was elected in 2010, has already said he will not be running in the upcoming general election and will step down as the MP for Suffolk, Central Suffolk and North Ipswich. He told the BBC Sunday with Laura Queensberg that the NHS deserves better than it has at the moment in terms of how it's run and governed. His decision to defect to Labour rather than hold out as a Conservative MP is for a matter of months and made the move even more pointed. He said Mr. Sunak should hold the election as soon as possible to allow the public to decide the next government. Yes, he should, but is he going to listen to you? And no. Is he going to listen to me? No. Is he going to listen to all the people in the chat who wants a general election? No, of course he's not. He's not. He's going to think he's going to try everything to try and turn the polls around for his benefit, and that's what it really is all about, really. But yeah, take it with a bit pinch of salt, but at the same time, we've seen defections already, so and I've even seen Labour councillors quit over what's been happening with the whole Gaza situation as well. So it's definitely not sunshine and roses on Labour's side, that's for sure as well. So yeah, I know, guys, I know. It's been frustrating to say the least, guys. So, guys, just to remind you guys, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a YouTube member, guys. You can be one for as little as 99p. Being a YouTube member gets you access to custom emojis, which I've established a bunch of new emojis here in the chat. Not just here in the live streams here whenever you can do them, but also on Premiere videos. You can get to use them as well. So, obviously, I have Premiere videos I do on Tuesday and Thursday as well. So, you get plenty of times to use them as well, so you get access to them. Also, as a YouTube member, you also get access to whenever I do community members posts as well. And also this week, as number 3 pointed out at the start of the live stream, I had a Rumble exclusive video for members as well that you guys can check out. The one I have for you guys that you can only see for a limited time, it will be taken down on Thursday, is the one about Julian Hassan. It was so if you want to check out that article and my thoughts on it, you can do on the members only tab. Make sure you check that out after the live stream, guys, if you want to hear my thoughts about that and the story about Julian Hassan. It's a very fascinating article, to say the least. Another article that's going to be coming up, if I've not already put it up already, is an exclusive from Patreon. That will be as well. That's also for a limited time as well. And if you guys want to check out other content, you can definitely check out on Patreon and Rumble as well. You can see them for free. You can see the Rumble one simply by checking out the link in the description for it. But for Patreon, all you need to do is create an account and sign up to a free membership to get access to additional content on Patreon. You don't even have to. There is paid content if you wanted that, but you can join for free. Simply by signing up and creating an account, and you can get access to exclusive content there. So both the videos that I have available right now for members are only for a limited time. So if you want to see those videos, do join the membership. You can even join just for 99p to check them out. They will be taken off in a few days' time, because obviously one of them is an exclusive to Rumble, and the other one is obviously an exclusive to Patreon. Just want to say thank you so much for the £2 super chat there. I better do it on the computer just because, just in case the computer the device does something stupid. It's updating now for some reason. It says members use emojis to put wherever you want for the PM to go. Says Alistair Keir. Yep, there's loads of memberships. I'm going to have many more ones there. Yep, Pingu one there, so you got Pingu there. You got Cash Dummy one there, and I'll be doing some more facial ones as we unlock more memberships in time, guys. So you need a new emoji for Pingu, and maybe take away one with the boat race. Just a suggestion, Mad Monk. The boat with your boat race. You lost me there. Sorry, Mad Monk. This is my favourite. Says Jowl. Yeah, so if you guys want to join membership, please do. It'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, thank you guys for all those who have been members, who've stayed on as members. Really, really appreciate it. And for those who are Patreons, just remember, guys, just for those who are Patreons, the 2 members who are Patreons, to reminder that you guys still get exclusive content on there. So thank you for the Patreons who still continue to financially support me on there. It really does make a massive difference. Because it's not just about YouTube. I really want to expand the content outside of there. Sunak is a little baby who smells of sick and poo, says Andrew Luke. Ew, you said that. Thank you for the £2 super chat. Yeah, thank you for that, Andrew Luke. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats, guys, tonight. Really appreciate it. And the gifting memberships, of course. Discording tonight. Yes, there will be, guys. I've got one more article before we wrap things up, and a funny video before we see ourselves out. But guys, if you want to come and hang out on the Discord, feel free to do so. If someone can provide a link for the Discord, if you're not a member, it's completely free to join us on Discord on the Snowflake server. You're more than welcome to join us there. I want to say thank you to everyone who's cast their votes on the live YouTube chat poll, asking was it right for Humza Yousaf to step down as Scotland's First Minister. 41% of you said they didn't know. so they're not 100% sure. 34% said yes, and 24% said no. 29 people cast their votes, so thank you everyone who casted their votes on that. Greatly appreciated. Having a Trump gas problem, that emoji, I'm not sure one, says Larry the Cat. If you want to make it that one, yes. If you want to do it that one, you can do. I will say closer to. I won't go too much into detail now, guys. But I will say next week's schedule is going to be kind of a bit thrown up in the air because I've got a lot of plans on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I may not be able to do a live stream next Monday, but I'll cross that. I'll let you guys know a bit closer to the time. It's unlikely that I'll be able to do one given my plans, but let's we'll cross that path when it comes to it. Anyways, last one, guys, for you guys. It's a short one, but I hope you guys like this one. It's an interesting one, to say the least. So this one's from the BBC. It's a headline of an MP said he was deported from Africa over Chinese criticism. What? Such a shame that they deported an MP back to the UK. And what's worse, guys, is this was a Conservative MP. He was deported back to the UK. I know. Terrible. So who is this and what's this about? So a Conservative MP said he was deported during a trip to Djibouti because of the East African country's close ties to China. Tim Lofgren, the MP for East Worthing and Shoreham, said he was detained for more than several hours and barred from entry to Djibouti earlier this month. Mr. Lofgren, who was subjugated to sanctions by China in 2021, described the experience as very lonely and frightening. Now, I can imagine, obviously, MP or not MP, when you're going to a country like that, going to an African country and whatnot, and you're treated like that, that can be quite scary. That can be quite scary in all seriousness. China's Foreign Office said the accusations were baseless. Mr. Lofgren was in Djibouti for a 24-hour visit, which included a meeting with the British ambassador. He said when he arrived, his passport was scanned and he was asked what he did. I told him I was a member of Parliament, and then it all went very frosty, he told BBC Radio 4 Today programme. It is effectively a vassal state of China, and what China wants, they no toes to, and having a troublesome MP who has been sanctioned by China turning up on their doorstep was clearly something they didn't want to entertain. He said he was put on the next available flight out of the country. This was another example of how the tentacles of the Chinese Communist government extend far and wide in their marginal influence in sensitive parts of Africa is particularly worrying, he told BBC Online separately. Yet the intimidation of the countless others who dared to speak out against the Chinese industrial scale of human rights abuses and those who don't have a platform of an MP raises serious concerns. Prime Minister's official spokesperson said the Foreign Office provided consular support to Mr. Lofgren at the time, and they've also raised the case with the I cannot say the country's name or its people, so I do sincerely apologise. A spokesperson said that whilst the authorities there had the right to refuse entry at their own discretion, the UK government was seeking further information about this specific case. I think the real shame, guys, is that he was deported back to the UK. I think that's it. You know, I think that's the worst thing about it. I'm gonna have to put my device on charge there because I don't want to lose you guys in the chat. Just so I can at least see what you guys are saying. In 2021, China imposed sanctions on 5 MPs, including Mr. Lofgren, for spreading what it called lies and disinformation about the country. It came in retaliation for measures taken by the UK government over human rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims minority group. Mr. Lofgren is co-chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Tibet, which has highlighted China's record on human rights abuses. In 2019, he introduced the Reputable Access Bill in the House of Commons, which requested the UK government to take measures against Chinese officials denying access to Tibet. He's also a leading member of the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China, an international cross-party group working towards reforms on how democratic countries approach China. The former minister and member of the Home Affairs Select Committee has said he will not stand the next general election after more than 27 years in Parliament. So he's on his way out either way, but it's an interesting story to say the least. But obviously it did not go the way he... I generally don't know if it really was, or if he's just kind of saying this to kind of just like to throw it out there. I honestly don't know how if this really was because of China. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misreading it too much, but it's entirely possible, guys. It's entirely possible that it might have been. Shake. Dalabucci, says Steve McMorran. I think you said it. I don't know if that's the way I said it, but he could not deliver Fasca Rosca to ambassador for the party, says Jeannie Bottle. Did I say hello to you, Jeannie Bottle? I hope I did. I hope you're doing well. Joe Lefty says China have a lot of African countries in debt through their Belt and Road policy, says Joe Lefty. Yeah, that is true. There's lots of countries that are in difficult situation there. There's quite a bit of Chinese money tied up in businesses around the world. They have invested quite a bit of money in Africa, says Duke Vengeance. Yeah, they definitely have. Tim Lofgren, he's one who pressed Braverman at Select Committee on routines to claim asylum. Yeah, he is the same person. He really did do that. Lopton would be singing No More Lonely Nights in a highly pitched voice, Andrew Luke, to that Jow says. And no, Lopton, you are not. You're just not important if they knew if they could F with you and have a laugh, says Jow. It must have been scary, the bad men coming for him at 3 a.m, says Andrew Luke. I wonder what reference you're making there. Bugger, they could not keep him, says Hasakir. No, I know. I mean, it's terrible. It's like, imagine if I mean, it's just like imagine the possibility of Trump fleeing to Scotland, because of, what's happening to him in America. Imagine if he fled to Scotland and exiled there, I know it would not be welcome, but that. I meant it was the nicest way possible, Artibus, Stephen Banker says. WTF, do we want him for, says one angry pagan. Gosh, it must be a lucky guesser. A Tory, says Andrew Luke. Yeah, it was a Tory. Yeah, it was. That's not going to get old, says Andrew Luke. No, it's never going to get old. That we all... But these are all countries neglected by the West. China turned up with lots of money and infrastructure. Not surprising that they took it all in, says Steve McMorran. Yeah. I don't have much faith in the American legal system, says Duke Vengeance. Yeah. Right, guys. So before we wrap things up, I have one more funny video for you guys before we wrap things up. I want to say, don't run away just yet. I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's a very important announcement. For the upcoming local elections, a reminder of what is going to transpire and how things are going to change for the better, what things have happened. Larry and Paul, once again, please take it away.
This is a message to the Conservative Party on behalf of the people of the United Kingdom.
It's been 14 years. In that time, you have achieved great things.
Fuck all.
You've encouraged more people to become passionately engaged in politics, while ridding our streets of the real criminals. You've enabled water companies to fully prosper by cutting petty environmental red tape. And when your friends needed you most, you showed you would do anything for them.
Greta would be proud.
For all that and more, we would just like to say thank you. Since the very beginning, you saved us from the boring competency of serious people and brought personality back into politics.
There are baked beans incoming.
Introducing some incredible characters that we'll never forget, even if we try really hard to.
It didn't need to be this way.
We looked on as, over the years, you used plucky British ingenuity to cling onto power through thick and thin and really very thick. All the time demonstrating an unmistakably British sense of humour.
We have never had it so good.
Strong and stable leadership with me.
So if this country is to change, then it can only be us who will deliver it.
I did not lie to the House.
Hilarious. Thank you. The historical burden of being a world-leading country was becoming too much, so you thoughtfully removed us from the global stage. Yet, you sought inspiration from international greats like China, Russia, and North Korea by supporting a healthy propaganda machine built on unwavering professionalism.
With the terror man, it's all gone wrong.
And even though you think climate change isn't really a threat, you've graciously shown commitment to the environment by reducing, reusing, and recycling.
Yes.
Thank you. In the past 14 years, you've saved our Victorian rail infrastructure and rescued it from unthinking modernisation. You've reduced the crippling workload of UK farmers by importing more foreign meat. And you've laid the groundwork for a beneficial new American-style health system. Thank you. No one has supported the lectern industry like you. And with no fewer than 5 prime ministers, 7 chancellors, 8 foreign secretaries, 8 home secretaries, 8 health secretaries, 10 education secretaries, and 12 culture secretaries, you really have been the party of job opportunities. It's been a remarkable 14 years for our country. Just look at all you've done.
Look at it. Look
we
at it.
can't even find the words to express our feelings for you. So, why not call a general election now?
Yes.
And give the British people the chance to properly say, thank you.
Yes. Call it now. Call that general election now. Yes. Why not call it? After all that, guys, why not call that general election now? Yes, absolutely, guys. It's time to call that general election. After all those things. Oh, they weren't good things, were they? Oh. Huh? Oh, they were good things. Oops. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, my bad. Okay. He's all smiles because I've realised how dumb I was saying there. Dear. So guys, just before you guys run away, I just want to say I will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. with a premiere video of the world's news round, covering news from outside the UK. I'll probably cover some stuff regarding Trump. So if you guys want to come and hang out with me in the chat before Max goes live at 8:30 with his live stream, feel free to come and hang out with me there. I will be back at 12 noon with Prime Minister's questions. Whether it be live stream, be watching along there. So if you are watching PMQs and you want to come and hang out with me there, you're more than welcome to do so. I'll also be back in the evening at 8 o'clock with the Snowflake Watch, and I'll also look a little bit into the local elections and the preview coming up to that as well. Thursday will be Regan's News Round once again in the evening. That will be premiering at 8 o'clock. And then on Friday, we will have the Snowflake Corner live stream at 7 p.m. We'll cover news, the latest news that's going on from outside the UK. So we've got quite a lot going on. Obviously, plenty of content dropping throughout the week, as you guys know. And also additional content. Reminder, members, that the videos that are exclusive, the Rumble and Patreon exclusive videos, they will only be up for a limited time. So if you want to watch them now and you don't have access to Patreon or Rumble, go watch them either in the next few day or two, so you don't miss out on them, guys, because they will be going as exclusives to them. And if you want to get additional content, obviously check out those links in the description. If you have Facebook, of course, do check out the links tree as well. I will be back tomorrow, so feel free to come and hang out on the World's News Round there. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Ollie, Pingu and Cash Dummy, we also want to say thank you to everyone who's remained a YouTube member, who've renewed their memberships, everyone who has given super chats today, those who gifted memberships. Thank you, Alistair Keir. Greatly appreciate it. Let's keep it going, guys. Channel is doing very well, subscriber count is doing very well. Let's just keep the momentum going. I do want to reach 200 members by the end of the year, so we're well on track to do that. So thank you everyone who has contributed to that. It really makes a massive difference to me. If we could reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, that would be a massive bonus too. But as far as I'm concerned, if we do that, it's just a bonus for the channel, guys. So yeah, thanks guys. If you want to come and hang out in the Discord, I will be joining you guys shortly, but I just have one more thing to say before you run off, guys. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.